Hello, hello. I think we're good. I think we're live. How's everyone doing? I hope you're doing well. Welcome to the Q&A live stream. We do this every 2 weeks. So if you're watching this back and you didn't catch us live, be sure to tune in for the next one. Jumping over to our Discord community here. I'm going to send out a notification very quick. New login detected. Maybe I won't. That's okay. If you want to join our Discord community, the link for that is in the description. Usually I try to ping it, but looks like I can't get into it this time. But yeah, I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to a Q&A live stream. We got some cool stuff going on in this one. Feel free to drop any questions as I go through anything. And that's the main purpose, is to answer some questions. But yeah, I hope you guys are all doing well. I'm going to give it a few minutes here. I always try to join in a few minutes early. But we'll give it a few minutes here, let people jump in and see what's going on. I hope you guys are doing amazing today. I might try to sneak into Discord very quickly. Well, we give it just a few minutes to let people jump in. But yeah, if you're watching this back on YouTube later on, we try to do this every 2 weeks. This time it might be a little painful. I'm going to try some JavaScript use cases, but try to help you out with anything that you're working on. I recently got a new phone, so that's why I don't think I can get into Discord. I guess I'm going to have to go back and charge that old one and try to get in. So apologies about that. But yeah, while we're hanging out, waiting on people to jump in here, I will just jump into a few use cases. All right. So the project for today and this video is I want to work on this Node.js Express server application. I'll show you what I have so far, and we'll talk through all of this too. That way you know what's going on. But we'll pull this up. We might have to deploy it if it's not. Looks like it isn't. So what we're doing in this step right here is I've created an application and I need to deploy it. Looks like it did load, but once it's deployed, we'll refresh it. Cool. So this is a very generic template. I will link it in the chat. That way, if you're watching this back in the future, you know where I pulled this from. But what we'll do in this video is we will go through a few of the setup features, a few of the ways to set this up, and some of the features. So let's get that template. Yeah, here it is. So if you're watching this back, there's a link in the chat where you can go and grab the code for this. So that's what I'm using. And right now, we just have this homepage. So it is pretty cool, but there's more stuff that we can do with the pages and custom features. So let's do that. Let's go back and we will click develop. All right. Looking for our server.js. All right. So what we have here is a Node Express server. And how we're doing this is we're setting this up inside of a Wayscript layer. So we're setting this up, and what we can do, one of the features of Wayscript, is we can deploy it using a trigger. So that's what we've done here. We have a deploy trigger, and we have an endpoint that we can host it onto. So we're setting a port, And that's how we're getting this page. Let's see. Excuse me. So now in our server.js file, what we'll be doing is let's add in a few pages into our application. So let's take this right here. Let's look at this very briefly. So let's say we want to add on a charts page, which looks like we don't have it right now. What we can do, I believe, let's create a new template. So we will go to, where is this referencing? The base index. So we'll create a new file and we will say charts.html. In here, let's go and pull some code from this GitHub repository. So what we're looking for is the charts.html. I think I have this downloaded. Let me see. Let me open up an editor very quickly. Yeah, I do. All right, so I will copy all this and paste it in. Cool. So at this point, looks like we have a lot of referencing going on, and we'll need to fix all of that. So within our Node server, our Node Express server, we can set our static index, I believe. Yeah. So this probably isn't a very good practice to set this as the base directory, but we'll do that for now. We will change this information. Charts. All right. And once we have all of that, what we're doing here is we're setting up a new route in our Node Express server. We're saying the charts path will now render charts.html. So in our charts.html, we'll probably need to change all of our static assets. So I might already have these in index. Let's go and take a look. So for anyone jumping in, what we're doing is we're creating a Node Express server, and I want to host SBadmin on this Node server. I'm choosing to do this with Node Express because we've been recently very focused on something called a flow state. And in that flow state, we want to be developing as much as possible without any interference. So this is a good exercise for me because with Flask, I kind of already know what to do, but this will work out much better for me, I think, because I'm not the best at JavaScript. So I will use that in this tutorial. All right, so we have our charts set up. I believe we should be good. Let's test this out. So once we have our changes set up, what we can do is we'll go back to that dot triggers and we will deploy this again. So I think that worked. Let's go to the endpoint. All right. So now I believe we should be able to click on a new add-on of our SBadmin template and we get this. So looks like we have a few things to fix. Let's take a look at our chart bar demo. There's probably some icons we need to fix. Might be it. So let's go take a look. We will actually, for that, let's open up the process tab. What we can do in the process tab is we can take a look and see what assets are not being rendered. So for the assets, or at least in Flask we can. Let's take a look. deploy. So we cannot. Let me do a quick search. So this is going along with the flow state. How can I use Wayscript to help me develop? So what I'll do, yeah, not sure if there's a clean way. Might come back to it. But for the moment, I think I know where what I need to fix. So we have an issue in my bar chart. We'll go to our charts.html. Pull that back down a little. Difficult to make it big enough to see, but small enough to scroll through. All right. So bar chart. Let's see what's going on. It might just be a matter of our JavaScript not actually rendering it. Or we might not have it in our JavaScript. There we go. So looks like it's looking for some code. Oh, just kidding. I wonder if this is in the SB admin template. We might not mess with it because it looks like it should just load with all the rest of the JavaScript. Let's take a look. It loads there. So let's try to debug a little bit. Make sure there's no questions. Nope, no questions. Oh, it might have been. Let's go back. Let's take a look. In fact, it might be a better video instead of me sitting here debugging to go through and do this from scratch. So let's do that. Change of plans. So let's go through the whole process. Maybe this will be a good clip. So what I want to do is, let's say I want to create a Node Express server and I want to do it very quickly. I don't have to worry about the infrastructure or worry about how my tool will be maintained in the future. I just need to stand something up very quickly. What I can do inside of Wayscript is create a new layer. So we will call it a Node Express server example. The name doesn't matter, and I will click on create. What this will do is put me inside of an environment, and in this environment I can immediately start building. We will close those few pages and refresh so we have a clean slate. So within this layer, it doesn't matter if I'm programming in Python, JavaScript, or anything else. I can just immediately start programming in my language of choice. In this case, this probably isn't my language of choice, but we will do it anyways. So we'll have a server.js file. And now what we'll do is let's go and pull a little bit of code. So we will copy this. All right. So this is just a template for our Express server. You see here that we're setting it up. We'll need a command to run this, so we will need a package.json. And I might have to go and steal that code because I don't remember it off the top of my head. So now we're setting up our server. We're setting the port as a variable. And then at our home page, we're just returning a string that says hello world. App.listen port. This is okay. We'll leave it in for now. This would be helpful if we were running this from the terminal, which we can. I'll show you that too. So once we have that, our package.json, I will go and take some code for this. So package.json, this is what we need here. All right. So all we're saying here is whenever we call the node command, it's telling us where that code lives. So we'll need to call that, and we can do that with a deploy trigger. So with the deploy trigger, we can say npm install or just I, and we'll need a second command. So npm start run start. This port needs to match the same as our express server 3000, and we will test it. All right. Once we test it, hopefully we have a working application, and we do. So here's our base application. There's a lot more we can do with this Node Express server, but we already have it set up. And just to highlight a few of the cool things that we get by setting it up this way, we already have a bunch of stuff built in that we can use. And the stuff that's built in is best practices for these kinds of tools. Excuse me. So what we have is we have a bunch of functionality like I was talking about. We have a secrets manager. So instead of coding in strings into your application, we actually get the full environment within Wayscript where we can store secrets and access them. Also, within Wayscript, we get this process log, get a built-in terminal, and that environment that I was talking about. So in this environment, we have, right now, we just have this one, but we can deploy it and have a second one. The second one is our production one, and we can have our dev one. Cool. So let's take a look at that prod one. So in our prod environment, you see that we can't make changes, and the terminal's not available. This way, users can go to our endpoint, and we can make changes on dev and not influence it at all. So what that means is we can test all our changes on a dev server before pushing them to prod. We'll switch back to that dev server and let's make some changes. So let's see, what can we do? Let's push my JavaScript abilities. Let's pull up their documentation. Let's see a cool starter scripts. All right, let's take a look. Let's see if there's anything interesting. Params. Probably not anything too interesting there. Instead, I might show off some functionality that is new, but not in a docs yet. So let's see if I can yeah, okay. So I found that little bit of code. I want to show you a cool Wayscript specific feature. So this is the first time I've used this because it's brand new. But let's try it. So we have this in Flask. I'll show you the Flask equivalent very quickly. So in Flask, we have the Wayscript library, and what it allows you to do is you can get information from a user who accesses your environment or your endpoint. So in this example, what I can do is when a user goes to my endpoint in this layer, if that user happens to be me, then I get a special response. And I can go through all of this on the back end of my application and render stuff dynamically to the user. This works with the Wayscript import. So in app.py, we have from Wayscript import context, and this context gives me information about the user. So this is a Python example, and recently we have developed the JavaScript one. So I want to play around with that a little bit. So on our server.js, let's paste in some code. Let's see if we can get this working. All right, so creating two variables, Wayscript, utils, application. All right, let user. Okay, I think that should be good. So let's just return back that information. All right, so now in our trigger, I believe there is one issue with this right now. Package.json, dependencies. Let's make sure that we have Wayscript installed. I don't know what the version is. Let's try it out. There might be more. I haven't followed this thread completely, but let's get it working. I want to see what it takes. All right, so we'll test this. Open this up in our dev environment. We'll give it just a second. All right, so that didn't work. So we'll close that out. Change this server. Deploy failed. Let's see what's going on. So this is our process log. Oh, yeah. Let's find a little bit of information. Oh, okay. And package.json will actually keep that Wayscript. And I think we can denote any package by doing that. Let's try this again. We'll test this out. If anyone's jumping in, this is our Q&A live stream, answering any questions you might have. But in the meantime, while there's no questions, I'm just playing around with the JavaScript Wayscript library that is brand new, trying to get it working. Test this out. Give it just a second. All right, let's see what's going on. Wayscript is not defined. Oh, that would probably help. Let me make sure I do this correctly. I believe I can do it the same way as they're doing Express here. I definitely do not know my JavaScript. I'm sorry, it's probably painful for anyone watching that does know it. But this is good for me. This is good for me to so if anyone's just jumping in, we've been talking about flow state and like keeping developers in the workflow even if they have to like move in and out of the application. So this is good that I should probably be searching on screen, but have to jump back and forth developing and getting feedback from the application. All right, so let's refresh this. Service not running. Oh, so it means the deploy failed. Let's take a look at it. JavaScript, how to yeah, okay. I don't know why constant Wayscript equals require. All right. Ooh. Cool. Yeah, second guess myself. I don't know why I was thinking anything other than that. All right, so we got that working. So the cool thing here is we're getting information from the user who is logged in and accessing this endpoint and returning it back to the user. So we can do cool stuff with this if we wanted to dynamically render different content using the server, which is pretty neat. We get that information in this user variable here. And let's see how we can pull it out. Okay, looks like we can just index it. All right, so let's get fancy. Man, it has been a minute. All right, so where's that sin? We'll keep that. All right, if condition, if user, we will index out some information from the JSON that we're getting back. So let's index out email. We'll make sure it's case sensitive. All right. We will copy this. All right, let's try that. So let me zoom in. Hopefully we're just creating a simple dynamic rendering depending on who is accessing the site. And we'll go from there. So once we have that, it worked. All right, so what we're doing here is we just have a simple if statement. Now let's do an else statement. So else, so if user res send, and then else, we will send back a different response. Hello user. All right. So at this point, let's take this example. I will talk to it very briefly. So what we're doing here is we have a Node Express server. In this Node Express server, we are setting up a Wayscript import. With this Wayscript import, we can get information about the user, and with that user's information, we can dynamically render content to the user depending on who's logged into the workspace. So at this point, let's send back different, I guess we already are sending back different strings. So that should be probably good enough. We tested this out. I think that is probably all I have prepped here. If there's no questions, then I guess I will probably get off. Put user in timeout. So much power. All right. Well, no questions, so I will hop off here. But thank you for watching this back. If you did, find this on YouTube later on. We do this every 2 weeks. I don't usually have too much prepared, so it's mainly a Q&A. But with no questions, I will try to showcase the platform as much as I can. But with all of that said, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and hopefully I'll see you next time.